Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be starting a new project, which is this stunning Karen Millen blouse. It's an asymmetrical statement top with a bold collar piece attached to it, and in this first part I'll be walking you through how to draft the sewing pattern step by step. So grab your drafting tools and let's get started. So guys, we'll be starting with our basic bodice block. So if you don't know how to draft one, you can check out my course linked above for more about how to learn. So now we'll be starting with the front of our pattern first. So that borderline in the middle, we don't need it, so I'm just going to be closing it out and just taping it down with my paper tape. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark in my blouse length, and for me I'm staying with about like 21 inches. So I'm just going to mark 21 inches from the top of my pattern, and then I'll just label that my blouse length as I've done. Now the next thing, I'm going to go to my armhole, and then I'm just going to raise it up a bit by like ½ inch, because this pattern is a pattern that is supposed to have a sleeve and the blouse is a sleeveless blouse, so we just need to raise it up because of that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to close out my dart. So I'm just going to measure my dart intake. That's 1 inch for me, and then I'll just take that out at the waist and reconnect to the hemline of my blouse, because if you look at the blouse, there's no noticeable dart line you can see. So now I'm going to split my pattern open at the waistline, and then I'm just going to shade out the dart, just so you know it's no longer there. Now the remaining dart at the upper part of the bodice pattern, I'm going to transfer it to the side of my pattern. So I'm just going to draw a line from my bust point to anywhere on the side where I want to locate the dart. Then I'll cut one leg of my dart open and then cut the line open, and now I'll just close the dart, and the dart will be automatically transferred to the new line we just opened. So now I'm just going to place a piece of paper underneath that, just to close out the hole or space that we just created, and then we redraw the dart. So yeah, that's that. Now our dart is now at our side. Now I'm now going to rejoin my pattern back, the one we cut out earlier. I'm going to rejoin that back at the waistline, and then I'm going to put a paper underneath my pattern to fill up that hole right in the middle. So yeah, that's that, and that's just a bit of that manipulation that we've done just to transfer our dart to a new location. Now if you look at the design again, you would see that it's really not so fitted, so I'm going to add like about 3/4 or ½ inch to the hem of my blouse, just so that I'll create that ease. You can add between ½ or 3/4 depending on how you want it. Then you just redraw a line back to your waist. Now I'm going to head over to my shoulders, and then I'm just going to chop off about 2½ inches from there, and then I'll mark it. So after I've marked it, I'll decide where I want to draw a line to. So really anywhere is fine, so just draw a line to anywhere you want, just like I've done. And then at the hem of the blouse, you also need to decide where you want to connect that to. So from the center of my blouse, I just measured 2 inches out and then drew a line from the neckline to that spot at the hem of my blouse. And now you can label that part A. So also place a piece of paper underneath it and trace part A out for later. Now go to your cross chest line and mark down maybe 1 inch down. Then you're going to decide where you want to connect that to on your A neckline, so where you want that line to intersect on your A neckline. So you maybe do maybe like 8 inches, mark it down, and then just connect like I've done. Then we need to go back to our hemline. From the center, mark out 2 inches, and then you intersect it with the A line that we drew before. So once you are done, just draw a straight line or curved line from there back to our line that we just finished drawing. So yeah, that's that. So you can label that whole part B. And right now I feel like I want to raise my B neckline part up a notch, so I'm just going to start the neckline now from my actual across chest line, rather than going down by 1 inch like we did before, and then I'll just reconnect my neckline. Now you can place a piece of paper underneath this and then trace out B also. So you trace out the neckline, trace out everything that we've done, and then Yeah, and these are my traced out patterns. Now I'm just going to add a bit more ease to my patterns like we did for the hem before. So I'll add ½ inch to my bust, ½ inch to my waist, and then I'll just reconnect, and then I'll do that for B also, ½ inch to my bust, ½ inch to my waist, and then I'll just reconnect, just because the blouse is not very tight. That is why we are doing all of that. Now we need to draw our collar. So decide where you want your collar to stop at the center, and then that same measurement you need to mark it also at the shoulders. So for me it is about 9 inches. So I marked 9 inches out from my shoulders and also 9 inches at the center, and then I just drew a curved line from there connecting. So now you just need to place a piece of paper underneath, and then you trace out your collar. Now for the B part, the B collar has a kind of off shoulder thing going on. So at the armhole there at the top, I'll measure 3.5 inches out. So from there I'm going to mark how long I want my collar to be, and then I'm just going to mark it at the side. So from the side right there, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches out again like we did for the upper part of our armhole. So once you mark the 3.5 inches out, then you just connect. Now at the center, you also need to mark how long you want the collar to be, and for me that's about 4 inches. So I'm now going to connect that. So, and that's collar B. So you just place a piece of paper and trace that out, and these are my two collar pieces traced out, collar A, collar B, with all my allowances added. Now let's draft our back pattern. The back is really easy. We won't be doing anything to our back that we'll be sewing it on our blouse when we are actually sewing. So the only thing we need to do is to add all of those eases that we added to our fronts. That is ½ inch at the bust, ½ inch at the waist, 3/4 inch at the hem, and then you also need to raise the armhole like we did for the front. So we raised the armhole also by 3/4 inch. Then the shoulders, you also need to chop off about 2.5 inches like we did for the front. Then you locate where you want to connect that to, which is at our across back neck, across back line like we did for our front. Then you just draw a straight line from there. Now we need to draw in our collar. So the same 9 inches we drew for our front collar, we also need to draw it for that part also. And then for the B part also, remember that we measured out 3.5 inches for the off shoulder thing. So you also need to do that also at the back. Measure the length of the collar like that we did, that's about 6 inches. Then you draw that and extend by 3.5, just everything we did for the front. You do that, then you just construct your collar. Then place a piece of paper underneath and trace out your back collar, and this is it done. So the part that needs to be labeled A, you label it A, which is the part with the shoulder, and then the part that needs to be labeled B, you also labeled B, you also label it B, which is the off shoulder part. Then you pick up your other collar pieces, that is your front collar, and attach A to A at the side. You can see what I'm doing. So I'm attaching front collar A to this front back collar A, and then I'm also attaching front collar B to back collar B. So you can see that done, and that is that. Because why did we do that? Because the collar does not have any joining at the side. The joining is going to be at the back of our collar, as you can see in the design. Now I'm just going to split my back collar open at the middle, and that is that. Now you just need to pick back up your pattern pieces and erase all those collar marks that we drew. Then you just add your normal allowance to your neckline, 1/4 inch to the neckline, and all of that. Then you do that also for the front, and this is it. These are my front pieces. This is my back piece, and then I'm just placing the collar right on top of everything, just so that you can see how this would align when we want to sew. So yeah, just need to base it. This is everything. You can see that I've aligned the collar to the pattern, and then you just need to cut it out. So this is where we'll be stopping today's tutorial. The next part, which is the sewing, we'll be doing that in my next tutorial. If you feel like you can put it together and sew by yourself, you can just go right ahead and do that. But if you can't, you can just wait for the next part of this tutorial where we'll be completing the blouse. Don't forget to tap the subscribe button below your screen. Tap the like button also if you found this tutorial helpful, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.